Okay, so this was day one. I started near Stone Mountain, right outside of Atlanta, and I rode for about 80 miles. And I really only took one stop this day. Definitely a really big, learning moment during the trip was the first day I just did not take enough breaks. I think I really took one main break, and it was about 40 or 50 miles, 50 miles in Athens, which is a pretty big college town for, people who don't know. It's where the University of Georgia is. And it's just a really nice city, but I was pretty far in and my legs weren't feeling too bad, which I can just attribute to it being like my first day, of riding. So I barely took any breaks. I was not having enough water because I just thought I wouldn't, I wasn't feeling anything immediately, so I'd be fine. And then eventually I rode through Athens up to Watson Mill State Park campground, which was the first place I stopped. Uh, and You'll see why in a minute how this first day really came back to haunt me. Okay, so day two, probably my toughest day. This day really, really wasn't fun. The night before, I'd gotten horrible sleep. My legs were cramping all night because I hadn't gotten enough electrolytes the day before. I as well had to move campsites, so I didn't end up going to bed around midnight. And I didn't wake up till, I don't know, around 9 in the morning. I didn't really hit the road till 10. So, which, for comparison, now I get up at 3:40 in the morning and I go to bed around 8. And that's just to, avoid the crazy heat of the summertime. So this ride was a lot shorter. I only went about 50 miles. And I stopped in the town of Abbeville, which was nice, but along the way it was very desolate. Gas station maybe every 15, 20 miles or so. Overall, though, I was still in pretty good spirits until basically the end of the day when I suffered from a severe, a heat stroke wave that kind of came over me. I was really not doing well. I had to lay down in a field for about an hour. I was seeing things. I was hallucinating. I was talking to myself. It was definitely not a fun time whatsoever. But overall, I liked the town of Abbeville. The staying in that hotel was very nice, and I was able to hit the road much, much earlier the next day. Okay, so this was day three. I rode from Abbeville to the Brick House campground, kind of in central South Carolina. And this day also was really not fun. Very desolate. Really had to ration out on water. Still, my legs were aching from the days previously. So yeah, I mean, I gotta admit I didn't have a great time. South Carolina also has a really big issue with roads being unpaved. Very small shoulders to ride on. Overall, a very, very difficult place to bike. And honestly, I mean, unless you're on the coast, I really wouldn't recommend biking through where I biked through. I mean, it was definitely a challenge, which was one of the main reasons I'm doing this. But, I don't think I'm ever going to do it again. And, I did it once. That's good enough for me. Incredibly kind people, though. I can say that for certain. The people of South Carolina were some of the nicest that I've met on this trip so far. But yeah, overall, I mean, had to ration water, camping. Very unpaved roads, a lot of gravel riding. Not the best. Definitely not the best, and definitely still feeling my legs and just my body aching from the 2 days previously. Okay, so following the theme of the past couple days, again, another very, very desolate ride. Having to ration out a lot on water and food. Definitely getting a lot more electrolytes in than the days before. and this was about a 60-mile ride. And then I got picked up by a friend and driven to over the border into North Carolina, and then through like the northern part of Charlotte to his house. So I think, this day was really difficult as well, but the knowledge I had that I was like, okay, I'm gonna be staying at a house. It's gonna be really nice. I won't have to ration out on water again for a while. I'll have a few rest days. That really carried my spirits and made this day a lot easier than the previous ones. And oh boy, did I need that rest. I slept for 12 hours when I got there, and then I took a 3-hour nap the next day. It's pretty funny stuff. But yeah, so it was, this was definitely the best day for the past couple days that I'd had. So here, I don't have, I could show a map, but I don't think it's really important because I took a rest day in Charlotte, North Carolina, with a friend there. And then I have another friend who lives over in Durham, which, you'll see on the map in a second, in the next section, but it's like northwest, about an hour drive. And he really wanted to see that friend. That friend's house was my next stop. So I just ended up riding over with him for about the hour 20 drive. So I can't speak too much on what North Carolina was like to bike. Although, and I'll get into it in a minute, but I did ride from North Carolina, obviously, to Virginia. And the part that I did ride, it was very, very nice. Much better than South Carolina. The roads were much better, better maintained, a lot less cracks, more room to ride. Yeah, definitely preferred over South Carolina. But yeah, so most of North Carolina though, I can't really I just can't speak too much on what it was like to bike through it because I kind of didn't. Okay, so this was Chapel Hill to just about above the border into Virginia. It was about a 60-mile ride. And this day was pretty good, although the desolation of the Southeast kind of continued here. I could maybe stop every 20 miles, which is about an hour and a half of riding, just, for one gas station. I will say, though, a lot of these gas stations had seating areas outside, which was amazing, and I think many more should have stuff like that. But yeah, so I rode from Chapel Hill to a city called Clarksville, which was right on the lake, and it was very, very nice. I had a great time there. Ate at a nice Mexican restaurant, and I was able to hit the road pretty early in the morning. And so, yeah, this day was definitely one of the better days of this first half of the trip. So, this was my first real day riding through Virginia, and I loved it. Virginia was beautiful. The roads were very well maintained. Usually bigger, busier roads would have plenty of shoulder to ride on, much more than South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia. And it was very, very pretty. I was riding through a lot of farmland. And I think overall, the day that I got into Virginia had been my favorite day up to that point. It was so much fun. The one kind of unfortunate thing was that the barrenness and the lack of towns was almost more here than South Carolina and North Carolina and Georgia. Like rural Virginia was the most rural part of my trip so far, and probably going forward. Yeah, it was a lot of rationing water, but the landscape and the scenery more than made up for it. So this kind of became the point of the trip where just each day was getting better and better. So I don't know if I mentioned it in the last clip or not, but I started in Blackstone. That was where I rode from Clarksville. So I started in Blackstone, Virginia, and I rode to Richmond. And this ride was amazing. I think it was the prettiest ride I'd had up to that point. I mean, even still, I'd say this day was the prettiest. The farmland was just incredibly beautiful. It was very, 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 very a pretty, just, I had a wonderful time. Roads were very well maintained, a lot of shoulder to ride on, and overall it was great. However, one thing that kind of took away once I got to Richmond was the kind of terrain became very swampy. I guess maybe not terrain. There's probably a better word for it, but it was very swampy, and as a result, the bugs here were crazy. If I were to stop riding for 5 seconds, I would get swarmed by mosquitoes or other annoying bugs. So luckily I keep bug spray on me, but still, I mean, definitely not ideal. But overall, this was great. Probably, I mean, the only real complaint was very desolate. So rationing on water, cell service was kind of non-existent. Made doing my routes a little difficult. But overall, it was great. So day 7 of my trip, officially a week in. I started in Richmond and I rode to Fredericksburg. This ride was honestly, I mean, it was fine. I think I was pretty tired. I wasn't getting the kind of farmland nature that I'd gotten before, which I really liked. It was a lot more woods and swamps. But I mean, overall, it was still very, very pretty. Again, the roads here were great, super easy to ride. I would say, I mean, so I got picked up here and then driven to DC to my friend's house. I'd been on the road for 4 days, I believe. Yeah, I'll have to double check, but I think, maybe three or 4 days. And my, I definitely couldn't have done 100 miles in a day. So I did about 60 or between 60 and 50 this day. But yeah, it was great. I loved it. I got to, obviously get a ride, which is always great. And I'd been staying with a family the night before, which is also super awesome. They were incredible. They'll be in my final video, where I kind of highlight all the best moments. But yeah, this day was good. It's kind of, this is where I am now. I mean, I haven't biked since this. I've been in DC for 2 days. Yeah. Okay, so I just had to, it's my second recording. Annoying stuff happened. Anyway, so yeah, I would say so far in this trip, in terms of the states I've liked the most, going from best to worst, Virginia has been my absolute favorite. The farmland and everything, the nature of it was incredible. I really loved the hills. I would be riding on the road and I would just ride past an English garden kind of, thing that's just out in the wilderness. The roads were very well maintained, wide shoulders to bike on. It was great. I loved it. I'd say it's definitely been the best state so far. And then I would say behind it would be Georgia in number 2. Pretty populated, so plenty of opportunities to stop. And obviously it's my home. I think I'm a little biased there, but the roads were pretty well maintained as well. And yeah, it was great overall. The nature was also pretty. I would say I do prefer Virginia's though, and I think that's just because I'm not as used to it. I've only been in the state one time in my life, and I was really little. The number three, I'd say, is North Carolina, which I feel like is a little unfair because I only was really riding through it for one full day. But it was pretty nice. The roads were in decent condition. There was a decent amount of shoulder to ride on. Um, yeah, I mean, it wasn't too bad. And then South Carolina was probably the worst. It was the roads were very bumpy and not well maintained. There was oftentimes inches of shoulder to ride on busy roads, no bike trails, very desolate. Having to ration a lot on water. Yeah, so I mean, no cell service in a lot of places. So, yeah, South Carolina could use some work in that aspect. I think it could use a few bike trails or maybe more sidewalks, for pedestrians. Yeah, so I mean that's been the first part. It was a ton of fun. I'd say Virginia was probably my favorite, and for the past couple days, the days have just been getting better and better. I mean, I love it. Like it's been great, and I'm really looking forward to the rest of this trip, which is gonna be much more bikeable. Yeah, overall though, just an awesome time. I appreciate the country and the nature side of it more and more as I ride through it, and I learn more about myself and how to deal with really challenging and scary situations as I go through this alone. Yeah, I am really looking forward to the rest of this trip.